Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm John, and you are watching another episode of Collecting Dust, my show, my second show, next to the Nothing Podcast with nobody important, of course, where I take you through some of my collection and show you some of my stuff. There's a myriad of different things and intellectual properties and themes in here, and I thought I would bring you one that's very special to me, which is wrestling. As you can see behind me, I have a lot of wrestling figures. There is a lot that we can talk about, and it was very hard to pick just a few things. So I actually went minimal on the figures and big on the memorabilia, which I don't have that much, but I figured I'd show you. So I will start with, I will start with my Slammy Award. So this is a WWE Slammy Award. It is basically the equivalent of the WWE Oscars. They give them out every year when there's time, or they'll just decide to skip it one year when it doesn't fit into the schedule. And they give Slammy Awards for different things. So I'm a big fan of having like a weird thing in my collection. I don't want like the main thing. So like, who has a real life Slammy Award? You could knock somebody out with this. It's real deal. So I went to the Raw after WrestleMania 26, I think it was, here in New York, New Jersey, right? And the Raw after Mania is a big one. And it was a big, raucous crowd, one of the most memorable crowds on a Raw ever. And so they gave that crowd a Slammy Award for Best Crowd of the Year. And I said, this is my time. So I bought myself a real-life replica Slammy Award, and I was going to get the name etched on here because I won this award for being in that crowd. There are probably many of you out there who also have earned this Slammy Award, but I like to think that I won it, and it lives up here. Let's see. I have also, let's get into a couple of figures. I'll show you. These are two of my favorite figures. Again, anybody has a John Cena. Everybody has a Roman Reigns figure. I have Michael Cole and Jim Ross, my favorite announcers. I mean, they're not really my favorite announcers, but they're the biggest announcers. JR is the best, and Michael Cole's okay. So the story behind these figures is that two very different stories. Michael Cole was a Build-A-Figure. You had to put together you had to get 5 different figures in the series. Each one came with legs, arms, a head, but I had to do it. They were figures I didn't need. Figures I ended up giving away. But I needed to have the figure of Michael Cole, and I don't think they've ever made another one, so there's that. And then this Jim Ross came with the Hardcore Action Ring in 2001, was the only way to get him. He was one of the first Jim Ross figures, might have been the first. There have been others since, but I've never needed to get one because I think this is the best. It looks incredible. He's got these nice denim or like snakeskin pants, and you can only get them by buying the ring. It came with him and Earl Hebner, who's exclusive that I have somewhere here, the referee as well. It was the only place to get them. I've lost his hat on many occasions, but, you know, this is the original hat that came with him before they were, like, floppy plastic. This is Jakks Pacific. Now figures are metallic. Okay, sticking with the figures, I'll show you this one. This is Shawn Michaels. As you can see, it is signed by the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels himself. I got this at Access for that same WrestleMania I mentioned earlier that I went to. You could buy one VIP greeting at Access to meet somebody special. I had and have not so much interest in Shawn Michaels, but my friend Joe was with me who like obsesses over him. And so when it came time to choose one person to go see, it had to be Shawn Michaels. So we met him, he signed it, we've got photos with him. I like to make fun of the photos because I'm looking right at the camera and he's not, because he's developed a lazy eye, which is terrible to make fun of, but I just think it's so funny. And this final piece is my NXT replica championship belt. This was the original NXT belt, as you can see. Right after I bought this guy, they changed the design of the belt. So this belt is retired. A lot of people didn't like it because it was bulky and square, but I thought it stood apart. I loved it for that reason. NXT holds a special place for me for a unique reason. I mean, I was a very big fan of the original NXT when it was like a game show type thing before it became the NXT it is now. So when they developed this belt for the new version of NXT, I said, this represents the NXT brand, which is something that I've always loved. I don't have many championship belts. This is the only championship belt I have. I've always wanted to collect them, but they're very expensive. I think this guy was $400, $500, something like that. The Slammy was also about $300, I think. But there is one other title belt that I would get, that if I ever saw it, I'd pay pretty much any amount of money for it. Except I found it on eBay today, and it was $600, and I wasn't paying for that. Which is the 2006 Silver ECW Championship Belt. I'll put a picture of it up here somewhere. I love that belt. It's big, it's bulky, the wrestlers hated it. The company, if you want to call it the brand, flopped. People don't even like that belt, but for that reason, I love it. So this one, that one, and maybe the Cruiserweight Championship that's out now, the purple one. Those are the only 3 belts I've ever had interest in, but they're so expensive that I live with this. And where the hell would I put it? So I live with this one, and I like it. I keep it shiny, keep it in my glass case, and that's it. Let's go look at a movie. All right, so movie's a hard thing for wrestling. I have a couple of Blu-rays. I have a couple of Money in the Bank thing. I have a Money in the Bank thing. I have the WrestleMania I went to. I have a couple of different things that I've inherited over the years. There's not that many movies about wrestling, but I have a few. Ready to Rumble, which is the best one I don't have because it's not out on Blu-ray. Get on that. But I do have this I want to show you. It's not a Blu-ray. It's a DVD. This is the Raw 20th Anniversary Collector's Edition. So on here, it is the 20 most influential episodes of Raw from the beginning of the show. Now, I mean, I think we just passed 25 years. We've been heading on 30 years of Raw. So this is old. We might even hit 30 years. I don't know. I'm sure I'll correct myself down here somewhere. But yeah, so what I like about this is it's uncut. This is 20 uncut episodes of Raw beginning to end. So like the weird little matches in the middle that featured people who disappeared right away. It's not a highlights reel. It's just full episodes top to bottom. It's very cool to see like episodes from when Raw first started at the Hammerstein Ballroom and like full things, and you're seeing guys who became big or guys who you laugh about because they went nowhere. Storylines, in the middle of storylines, so it's very cool. I really like this. I haven't watched the whole thing. I've watched, I think, the first 5 or 6, and then I kind of fell off, but if you look through, it takes you through every match on the card, on the matches that are on the discs, and it goes through the Attitude Era, the original, right through the Ruthless Aggression Era, and then into basically what is basically modern day is the return of Brock Lesnar. So that was about six years ago or something like that now. Yeah, and I really love this. Like I said, especially with the network now, having wrestling on hard copy media is a little pointless. I mean, it's all pointless. All of this is streaming anywhere, but it doesn't really make a difference to have any of this stuff. But some of these things might exist on the network, but I'm not sure that they do. So there's that. See you next time.